You didn't like it?
We always find something wrong with us, somewhere. If it's not our arms, it's our thighs. So I could very easily...
Janet Jackson, the global pop titan, boundary pusher, and headline magnet, has ruled stages and talk since the 80s. And tonight, we start a simple countdown of 6 peers she reportedly couldn't vibe with. Defining humiliation hasn't arrived out of nowhere. It has followed a line that has started in childhood. This countdown has identified the one relationship that has explained each feud and betrayal, and has clarified why she has learned to trust no one in the industry. Madonna. Because when two superstars collide, sparks fly, rumors swirl, and the whole industry leans in.
I'll say that, which is very similar. I think, how do I put this? I think what I do has class.
Why did Madonna make the list? Both are legends. Both changed population. However, their differing visions of what pop music should be reportedly existed as a subtle feud in the background.
She came in on the vibe and...
Dissed me?
What is that all about?
You know what? I don't know. I read it myself and I'm like, okay, that sounds ominous. What did I do?
The story, as told by various sources, begins with family. According to Jermaine Jackson's book, You Are Not Alone, published in 2011, Madonna briefly dated Michael Jackson in the early 90s and allegedly criticized Janet during a dinner. Jermaine claims Michael stepped back after that. If this is accurate, it represents a breach of the Jacksons' renowned family protection. The seed of conflict, reportedly, was planted right there. Small, sharp, and unforgettable. Reportedly, it was style versus standards. Janet's brand is precise, disciplined, and message-driven. Think blistering choreography and tightly built concepts. Madonna's brand is characterized by bold provocation, shock, reinvention, and culture-grabbing moves. Public comments maintained the simmering tension. In a 1994 Vibe interview, as summarized by Global Grind, Janet said she didn't hate Madonna, but if she did, she'd have valid reasons. Around that era, when asked if she'd go head-to-head with Madonna, Janet said they both make dance music, but what she does has class to it. That word, class, landed like a drum hit. It hinted at a deeper standard. Control over chaos, message over spectacle.
Mystified. Maybe she'll tell me one day.
That's really bizarre.
Yes, well, rather tragic.
Madonna's response in a chat with MTV's Kurt Loder in the early 90s was famously cool. She'd never met the woman, didn't know anyone she knows, and called the situation mystifying, even transparent. According to that framing, there was no real beef, just media noise. Still, to fans, it felt like a chess match. One side emphasizing craft and restraint, the other projecting unbothered dominance. Then came 2004. After Janet's Super Bowl controversy, Madonna defended her on the Grammys' red carpet, telling CNN the outrage was hypocritical and the media should focus on bigger issues.
Issues on TV. I think there's a lot of violence on television as well. And there's a lot of hypocrisy about beating up on Janet Jackson and not a lot of other things that children...
Cameras later caught the two smiling at an event, proof reportedly that the ice could thaw. But in 2012, before her own Super Bowl show, Madonna quipped, "You don't have to show nipples to be interesting," which many read as a subtle jab. Janet, unshaken, told Extra's Mario Lopez the show was cool and that she was excited to pose meet provocation once again.
Yep. So you don't have to show nipples to be interesting. And it doesn't necessarily mean you're cutting edge.
The deeper meaning? Two philosophies of pop. Janet's world is discipline, unity, and purpose, the Rhythm Nation code, where art serves a message and excellence is earned with sweat. Madonna's world embodies disruption, risk, and reinvention, with art serving as a cultural lightning strike. According to insiders and old interviews, that's where friction reportedly lived. Janet valuing authenticity and standards, and Madonna testing limits and grabbing attention. Same throne room, different crowns. Two giants shaping pop by very different rules. If you're enjoying these shocking revelations, hit subscribe and the bell, because this countdown gets even more intense. Justin Timberlake. 2 stars locked in one split second, and a fault line that reportedly lurked under pop culture for years.
Rip the piece off that he did.
The leather piece.
Right, but more came off than what was supposed to.
So he was supposed to pull that off and we just see the red there. And he ripped the whole thing.
Fans say this one is about trust and accountability. Janet's world is controlled precision, discipline, message-first performance. Think the black and white armor of Rhythm Nation and choreography drilled until it clicks. Justin's world in the 2000s dominated radio hooks, swagger, stadium charm. Both brilliant, both unstoppable. But when the lights turned blistering, their paths allegedly didn't align. Super Bowl 38, February 1st, 2004. Rock Your Body hits the line, "I'll have you naked by the end of this song." A planned tearaway was supposed to reveal a red bustier. Instead, more was shown for a split second to 100 million plus viewers. The backlash thundered. Complaints flooded regulators. CBS was fined, and according to reports at the time, doors slammed shut on Janet's opportunities, while Justin's career kept moving. People accused the pair of staging it. Both denied that. The narrative hardened. She paid the price. He didn't. Every Super Bowl Sunday, hashtag Janet Jackson Appreciation Day trended to demand justice for Janet, a long echo of a moment that refused to fade.
It was an accident. And management that I had at the time, they thought it was important that I did, you know, with the project coming out. And I had said, actually, before I sat down to record the apology, that I had said to them.
Writers and critics weighed in. Culture critic Garrick Kennedy told CNN, approximately 2024, he understands the anger but believes holding on to it forever re-victimizes Janet and strips both adults of agency over a mistake. That view added a new layer, compassion over punishment, letting the story evolve instead of calcifying into permanent blame. Janet herself tried to cool the fire. In her 2022 Lifetime documentary, she called the incident accidental and blown out of proportion. She said Justin asked if he should make a statement in the immediate aftermath. She reportedly told him not to, because the heat was on her and she didn't want more drama for him. According to her, they stayed very good friends. That's not a tabloid headline. That's the artist at the center asking everyone to move on. But culture has a long memory. When Justin was announced in 2017 for the Super Bowl 52 halftime show, old wounds reopened. Music journalist Jason Lipschutz tweeted a dream set list featuring a 9-minute on-stage apology to Janet, half joke, half public desire for a clean, definitive repair. The debate dominated timelines again, proof that the story still lurked in the background, waiting for the next spark. Remember that pattern I've mentioned at the beginning? Every man on this list, from Justin's public abandonment to DeBarge's addiction to Michael's distance, has echoed the same betrayal Janet has experienced first. Michael Jackson, Big Brother, global phenomenon, and the one presence that reportedly lurked behind Janet's every breakthrough, sometimes as inspiration, sometimes as a storm cloud.
I know my brother. He didn't have that in him.
Before the charts and headlines, there was Joe Jackson's blistering discipline. Michael often said he feared their father. Janet, by her own account, faced his wrath only once, yet still carried the weight of that house. In a 2011 interview, she said she knew Joe loved her and did the best that he could, even if his methods hurt. That's Janet's code, grace under pressure, empathy without forgetting the scars. Then came the shadow that stretched across the 80s. Thriller detonated in 1982, and by March 1983, Billie Jean reportedly cracked MTV's color line and dominated rotation. The distance, Janet says, grew. She was 16, fighting for identity while the world crowned a king. And still, she built her own empire. Control and Rhythm Nation 1814, black and white armor, razor choreography, purpose over noise. Two towers rose on the same skyline, but one cast a longer morning. The 90s turned cruel. Allegations against Michael in 1993 and again in the early 2000s detonated public trust and media sanity. Even though he was ultimately acquitted, the fires scorched everyone nearby. Janet reportedly took collateral hits, industry side-eye, doors closing, judgment that had nothing to do with her work. The burden wasn't just external. In her 2022 documentary, she recalled childhood teasing pig, horse, slaughter hog nicknames Michael tossed around like jokes. She laughed then. It hurt anyway. Body image bruises linger. Words stick. Their reunion should have healed it. Instead, Scream 1995 exposed the fracture lines. Separate schedules, separate sets. According to Janet, Michael's label even blocked her from seeing his shoot, corporate velvet ropes where there used to be siblings. She wanted it to feel like old times. Old times had reportedly packed up and left. The video dominated TV. The distance dominated the room. Behind the cameras, addiction and isolation took over. The family tried interventions. He resisted. Janet, ever the strategist of control and unity, floated a Jackson 5 reunion to refocus the center, bring the music back, ground the man. It didn't land. You could feel the machinery of fame grinding louder than any advice, a Pandora's box you couldn't close once opened. June 25, 2009. The world stopped. Propofol, sirens, the frantic call in Los Angeles, a public farewell that felt too big for a single arena. Janet stood there, steady in her grief, telling the world later that not a day passes without thinking of him. Love never left. But love doesn't erase harm. Reportedly, the rivalry here wasn't charts or ego, it was values under pressure. Janet's demand for clarity, care, and shared responsibility colliding with Michael's increasing distance, guarded camps, and a machine that dominated even him. As we are talking about her family, her husband wasn't any better than her brother. Boy George. Velvet voice, razor wit, and reportedly a hallway chill that never thawed. According to his 2023 memoir, Karma, their mid-80s meeting on the US TV show Solid Gold felt icy. She wasn't friendly and didn't try to be, he wrote. Later, when a crew member asked him to film a message for Janet, he kept it blunt. Next time you meet someone, be nice. He says he was then taken to her dressing room. She allegedly suggested he hadn't recognized her earlier, and he snapped back, "Are you saying you would have been nice to me if you knew who I was?" No thrown drinks, no screaming, just cool air and bruised pride. Years later, during a Top of the Pops taping, he claims she looked straight through him, silence as a statement. To Janet's supporters, this lands as a values clash more than a tabloid feud. She prizes discipline, professionalism, kindness that isn't tied to status. To George, by his own telling, it read as aloofness. 2 rule books, 1 backstage corridor. Still, balance. Boy George is a trailblazer whose fearless style and big hooks dominated the 80s. Even in recent interviews, he's said he stands by his truth, but is willing to bury hatchets. The deeper meaning, reportedly, is that Janet's control code, respect the room, respect the crew, doesn't bend for celebrity. If you only switch on the charm once you clock a name tag, it's a no from her.
Approached Miss Jackson without his makeup on, and she gave him the cold shoulder. Later, when she saw him in full face, Janet claimed she didn't recognize him before.
DeBarge, not the chart rivalry kind, the intimate kind that hurts more because it's private. According to Janet's 2022 documentary, she married James DeBarge at 18 in a bid to step out from Joe Jackson's iron grip and stand on her own feet. Young love, secret vows, a ring on the wrong finger because her hands were shaking.
Back in the day, they were saying that I had a child and I kept it secret.
And then the rupture. As she tells it, on their wedding night in Grand Rapids, he stepped out and didn't come back for hours. The relationship was shadowed by drugs, absences, and the kind of anxiety that erodes trust grain by grain. She describes a pattern, wanting to help, believing love could fix what addiction kept breaking. By 1985, the marriage was annulled, leaving behind a bruise she poured into work into precision, choreography, and the black and white armor of Rhythm Nation. Why does DeBarge land this high? Because for Janet, authenticity isn't just the stage picture, it's the life behind it. Reliability, safety, showing up.
Taking birth control pills, and back then you could pick up weight taking them, and that's what happened to me.
Her creative world is built on tight timing and shared responsibility. If the person closest to you becomes a chaos agent, the music can't save the room. Reportedly, the deeper philosophical rift is control versus drift. Janet's insistence on structure and accountability colliding with a partner's spirals. And yet, in her retellings, there's still compassion. Never a smash-mouth takedown, more a quiet acknowledgement that love without stability can't hold the weight of real life. She walked, rebuilt, and let the art do the talking. Janet's hatred stems from Joe Jackson's systematic emotional abuse and the lesson it taught her. Men in power will use and abandon you. Her father's treatment created her control philosophy. Never again would she be vulnerable to male manipulation. Mariah. Two 90s titans, both crowned, both dominant, and allegedly set up by industry narratives to circle each other like queens on a glitter-slick chessboard. On paper, they're incomparable. Janet as architect concept albums, cinematic visuals, blistering choreography, versus Mariah as instrument 5-octave artillery, melisma that could shatter glass and reset radio. The press loved the matchup. After Rhythm Nation 1814 still ruled through 1991, Janet switched labels and detonated with Janet in 1993, New Deal, New Era. That's the Way Love Goes, sitting at #1 for 8 weeks. Meanwhile, Mariah's run of #1s and vocal fireworks defined the same decade. According to industry chatter at the time, programmers and magazines framed it as a binary, choreography-driven vision versus voice-driven spectacle. That framing, reportedly, is exactly what Janet disliked manufactured rivalries that reduce art to a scoreboard. If a chill existed, sources usually place it in that media-built arena. Award shows, cover stories, label politics, situations where one woman's win was spun as another's loss. There's no single backstage blow-up you can point to. The incident, if you can call it that, was the constant pitting of two different philosophies against each other. Janet's camp, according to longtime observers, saw her work as message first, discipline, social themes, control over chaos.
Things happen for a reason, Miss Jackson.
You know what? I think people don't give Mariah enough credit. I thought she was wonderful in Glitter, and I thought she just got a really bad rap, and that wasn't what I think they tried to make it.
Mariah's camp saw hers as vocal excellence and reinvention, a diva glam blueprint that dominated ballads and pop R&B alike. Allegedly, the deeper tension was about what counts as real artistry. Do you measure with bodies in sync and concepts that hang together like steel? Or with a once-in-a-generation voice that can detonate a chorus in one breath? Both are valid. Both are monumental. But within Janet's value system, artistry is also about how you carry the machine, what you demand of visuals, choreo, narrative, and the team moving behind you. To her supporters, the constant comparisons felt shallow, rewarding spectacle over structure. To Mariah's supporters, the voice is the structure. The truth sits in the middle. Two different empires, two different constitutions. And yet the countdown puts Mariah at #1, not because of a shouting match, but because this alleged dislike symbolizes the biggest theme in Janet's story, her refusal to let commercial noise define artistic worth. In the end, both women dominated the decade on their own terms. But Janet reportedly bristled at any narrative that treated integrity like a costume change. That's the crown she protects most, not the chart one, the values one. If you're enjoying these shocking revelations, hit subscribe and the bell, because this countdown gets even more intense.